Hello, Bulldogs. My name is Kevin Graham. Today we're going to be doing a ranking of English curriculum required reading. Majority of them are full books or novels. Some of them are short stories. Some of them aren't from high school. Some of them are from middle school. Or they kind of cross over. Like sometimes freshmen read it in college. What am I saying? In high school. And sometimes people in middle school read it. But today we're going to be ranking them. These are all ones that I have read. If there are any books that I haven't read, it would just be unfair to judge them, of course. So we're going to kick things off. I'm thinking we're going to go top to bottom and left to right, like we're reading a book. Am I right, guys? Starting off, 1984. 1984 has some themes. And a lot of those themes are a little bit on the nose, but it is such a great example of those themes that it has its own term. People are like, oh, that's Orwellian. Oh, this is literally 1984. When you represent something that is so oppressive that people use it as like an adjective, this is 1984, then you have created a good book. And I don't want to start off our list with an S tier, so I'm going to put it in A for now. I personally enjoyed reading it, and I like just the impact it's had on culture is amazing to look at. But moving on, we're on The Great Gatsby, which is now in the public domain, which means you guys can write any Great Gatsby book you want. You can make Nick 3 inches taller, but like, nah, it only gets mentioned like once. That's a thing you can do. So The Great Gatsby, I feel like when your English teachers talk about the symbolism of like the blue light and the eyes, a lot of it feels like they're stretching a little bit, you know what I mean? It's there, but it's not. It's like, okay, come on. They mentioned the billboard like twice. You know what I mean? What I like to say about The Great Gatsby is that it feels a little rushed at the end. And I think you guys know what I'm talking about. This is one of the greatest books, I would say, in terms of having a viewer that is objective. And I hate to mention The Wolf of Wall Street and The Great Gatsby at the same time because a lot of people. Did Leonardo DiCaprio play both? No, he didn't. A lot of people look up to that guy, look up to those guys, but not in a good way. They look up to him in like an American Psycho kind of way. I'm going to put Great Gatsby in C tier. It feels right. Merchant in Venice, I'm going to say relatively good book. You know, it was an easy read considering it's Shakespeare, but I just don't understand why they call it Venezia. Why they call it Venice instead of Venezia. Like everyone's like, oh, Paris, English people, they add a S at the end, they say Paris. But a lot of people say Paris. Everywhere around the world says Paris. But for some reason, the English pronunciation has become, synonymous with Venice. Venice, Death in Venice, Merchant in Venice, all the Venice canals, but nobody says Venezia. It's odd. People say Paris, people don't say Venezia. So we're going to put that in D tier. Lord of the Flies. Lord of the Flies kicks butt, dude. Lord of the Flies it's sick, but like in the worst way possible. It is, and it's about colonialism. It's about, is human naturally evil when left to their own devices? It sparks a lot of discussion. I gotta say, I would love to put this in S tier. I would love to do it so much, but they treat Piggy so badly. Come on. Be nice to the guy. That is just a devastating character to watch, like, just constantly get screwed over. And I guess that's how, if it's supposed to be a reflection of society, I guess that's what society is. But we're going to put it in A tier right alongside 1984. Not just because Piggy gets, trounced, but like it's too cool to be an actually good like criticism of like human nature and like colonialism and stuff like that. The Giver. Pretty sure this is one of the middle school ones, but I think I saw it on the freshman list of books. Giver is pretty sweet. For a Utopia book, it's kind of alright. It's the only Utopia book that's long that's good. You know what I mean? There are a lot of long Utopia stuff we have to read, and it's like, oh my god, who cares? And there's some source stories that are like, oh my god, who really cares? You know what I mean? But at least it'll be over soon because it's a short story. As for The Giver, you actually have to bear with it through an entire book. I think that's why it stood the test of time. It's a dystopia as well. Who cares? I'm gonna put it in E tier. I've said such nice things about it. You're an E tier, buddy. I'm sorry. Crucible. The Crucible. People would think make you. People would have you believe that the Crucible is about a bunch of funny little women running around, and a bunch of people like screaming and like. The Crucible, I'd say, is also a little bit about human nature. It's like Lord of the Flies. They're friends. Crucible. Crucible was kind of like sick, not in like a Lord of the Flies kind of like this is sick, but this is just like sick. Like, oh my god, that's just a horrible thing that like really happened, and we've novelized it and we made it like a whole thing. I'm gonna put that in C tier. I don't need to justify myself anymore. This is my show. Scarlet Letter. Scarlet Letter is just horrible, and not like in a oh I hate this book, but like just a horrible, horrible thing. It's just twisted what they do in this book. I'm trying not to spoil most of these books, but geez, man. I hate this book. It's like, oh, that's not fair. That sucks. That's just a real bummer to read. I guess it's supposed to make you feel bad, so normally I'd put it in D because it's like, oh, that sucked to read, but like, it's supposed to make you feel bad, and it gets the point across, so we're going to put it in B. Old Man in the Sea. Old Man in the Sea, I think, conjures up... People say, like, Old Man in the Sea, oh, that's boring. Oh, that sucks. Oh, it's about a... Oh, it's way too biblical. It's too on the nose with its symbolism. But, like, it's kind of macho. Like, when I conjure up images of Old Man in the Sea, I see this, like, buff, like, scrawny buff, you know what I mean? Like, where his skin is so tight you can see all his muscles. I think of that old man reeling up that big fish. It's kind of sick imagery to me. You know what? I'm gonna say it's S tier. I'm gonna do it because this is one of the only books that I think I would read again. You know what I mean? Because it's so entertaining. People are like, Kevin, how can you find this entertaining? It's a guy in the middle of the freaking forest. What am I saying? It's a guy in the middle of the ocean just reeling up a fish for 500 like paragraphs. Like, what are you on about, man? It's a pretty cool 500 paragraphs, man. Fahrenheit 451 is another. It's the same thing as 1984. I'm not going to elaborate any further. Freak the Mighty. This one is another one that's just, it's Scarlet Letter. It's just a horrible thing to read, but it's not even entertaining. Like, Scarlet Letter is like, wow, that really says a lot about our society and how we judge people. Freak the Mighty, spoiler alert, the kid just gets bludgeoned to death in the middle of the woods. It's kind of a horrible, horrible thing to read. It reminds me of How to Climb a Tree. So I'm going to put it in F because I don't like it. Catcher in the Rye. Catcher in the Rye, I'm not going to say anything about the source material itself, but I'm going to say this. It's infamous for being the Quizlet book. This is the book that nobody read and everybody just Googled the Quizlet and all the answers to it. Like, it's the least entertaining book on here, and for that I'm going to put it in F. Tuesdays with Morrie. Now, people are going to hate on me for this, because I said The Old Man in the Sea was super sick. Tuesdays with Morrie is also just about an old man and a young boy talking for like 500 pages straight and just like not really accomplishing anything with no like action in the middle or anything. It's kind of just like a book about an old guy. People would say like, so you're going to put it with Old Man in the Sea? No. No. Way down there. Tuesdays with Morrie is not entertaining. I'm sorry. I'm not a sociopath, you know what I mean? I understand why people like it for the emotional value, but like, it's just, like, I got more emotionally attached to freaking Scarlet Letter. Hell, I got more attached to the boys from Lord of the Flies than anyone in Tuesdays with Morrie. Oedipus Rex. here we go again with just another book that's just about twisted, horrible things happening. With same thing, Freak the Mighty, Scarlet Letter, Oedipus Rex is just a sequence of just really upsetting things happening. And there's a very upsetting thing that happens towards the end. I don't know, it was kind of entertaining because, hell, it's Sophocles. Like, come on, this guy's cool. I'll put it with Merchant of Venice. I think it's on par with that. To Kill a Mockingbird. I think To Kill a Mockingbird is a masterwork. Need I say more? I guess. Like I was saying earlier, I think that our MC, our main character for the book, really, really gets across the point of being like innocent, not knowing what the hell is going on, but having to confront a reality where these horrible things are happening. Like 1984, Scarlet Letter, all these, The Great Gatsby, they can show you all these horrible, terrible things happening, but they're from the point of view of like adults who like are cognizant and know what's going on. To Kill a Mockingbird really like helps you set in like how twisted everything that's going on is, because it just shows it to you through the eyes of a young person. And when it's through the eyes of a young person and they're questioning not just what's going on, but the like logic behind it, is definitely more effective. Hamlet. I'm going to put it in B just for sheer quotability. To be or not to be. The Ones Who Walk Away from Omelas. This one sparks some heated debate. And I think that's what you ought to do that with a utopia dystopia book. Giver doesn't spark that much debate. Everyone's like kind of objective about The Giver, you know what I mean? The Ones Who Walk Away from Omelas can spark some real arguments. There are people who are complete sociopaths that are like, yeah, screw the kid, I don't care, I live in a utopia. And they can live with that knowledge. There are people who are like, oh, I'd still live in the utopia, but I'd feel guilty for it, you know what I mean? And then there are the people who are like, I'd walk away, I'm better than this, you know what I mean? I feel like you gotta land somewhere in the middle. There's a gray scale. You're too haughty if you think you'd actually walk away and just live out in the world on your own. But I also think you're kind of a crazy person if you just like are okay with living like that, you know what I mean? No matter how nice it is. The Ones Who Walk Away from Omelas, fight it out in the comments section, I guess. I don't know. But just because of how divisive it is, I feel like I have to... Here, how about this? All right, there we go. That's better. Next up, we got Frankenstein. Frankenstein, come on. Frankenstein, come on. Frankenstein is not what people think it is a lot of the times. No, it certainly wasn't what I was thinking. I was thinking it would be a big green hulking monster with big screws coming out of his head, but you really start to look at this creature. You're like, this is the perfect heavenly form, but it's also foul, necromantic, like evil, like mirror of humanity and the like will of its creator. I would have killed Frankenstein. I would have been so scared of it. I would have been like, nope, kill it. I would have been, you know what I would have been? I would have been one of the angry townspeople. That's what would have happened. I don't approve of this creature. You know what I mean? If I created life, I'd be like, whoa, I need to kill this thing. I brought it into this world. I need to take it out. Frankenstein, I think, is another highly debated one. I'm not going to split it in half, but I am going to say that I really, really enjoy the way it makes you think. Not a lot of these books make you think. I mean, some of them do. Let's talk about A tier over here. Those make you think. And To Kill a Mockingbird. Only Odyssey doesn't make you think, though. Frankenstein, I'm going to put it in... God, I feel like it has to be between S and A, because it makes you think so much. It's just such a prolific book. I feel like it has to be an S tier. Like, it's so famous. All Summer in a Day, we're gonna skip the Odyssey. All Summer in a Day is another short story that's like dystopia / utopia / whatever. And also one of the really twisted ones. But This one I would say is the most twisted because this is just not a fun thing to read. This is actually a really aggravating thing to read. If you finish this book and you're not PO'd by the end, you've not read it fully. You know what I mean? Like, you didn't really get the syntax behind the book if you're not fuming at the end. I think a book that makes you feel that much is deserving of a B. Yeah. Every time I put something in a tier, I have to examine like what's next to it and be like, does it live up to the same standards? And yeah, I guess. Anyway, Odyssey. The Odyssey kicks butt. I'm gonna say it. Greeks knew what the hell they were doing. This is such a sick book. You want to talk about an epic? You want to talk about the hero's journey, dude? This is the definition of an epic. And by that I mean, it hits all the marks, man. We've got our stunningly handsome, buff, jacked hero who's great at everything, just walking around the world. I think the Odyssey is a complete power fantasy, you know? This guy is unstoppable, but he's also got the entire wrath of Poseidon, like, trying to kill him constantly. Always facing trials and tribulations, but it's about overcoming them. I think that's ultimately what the Odyssey is about humanity and their willingness to overcome obstacles. And boy, do they give him a lot of obstacles. You want to talk about the hero's journey? Yeah, this is the hero's journey. I'm putting it in S tier. My tier list is kind of top heavy. Romeo and Juliet, it's cliche. By the time you actually get to read Romeo and Juliet and understand what's going on and like translate all the Shakespearean, it's like, you know what Romeo and Juliet is. Like, however, Mercutio and some of the backup characters and the conversations that don't just happen between Romeo and Juliet, Tybalt, all the other characters are really, really entertaining. I'd say it has the best supporting actors in any book I've ever read. Actors? I don't know what I'm saying. Supporting characters. I'm going to put it in B tier. Right next to Hamlet. I mean, I feel like that makes sense. It just makes sense. So I'm all out of books, guys. I only ranked like 20. I could have done more, maybe. But I'm kind of running out of creative juices to talk about books. I mean, I did book reports on all of them. Like, I can only come up with so much stuff to say. But I think this is a pretty good tier list. I'm looking it over right now. I'd say, yeah, this is befitting of each book. So yeah, this is the comprehensive list of all of our English curriculum literature and how good it is, how much it kicks butt, really, how much you learn from them about yourself and about others and about society. All great books are a criticism of society and ourselves and blah, 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 whatever. We can talk about that all day, but we don't have all day. So for now, I'm going to sign out. Have a great one, Bulldogs. I appreciate you watching this video. I know it's probably really, really long because I kind of rambled. I'll probably cut out a lot of the rambling I did, but appreciate you watching. Appreciate the views. And I appreciate you, really, at the end of the day. Lord knows if BNN is even going to publish this. But I'd say this is the comprehensive list. Here it is, guys. For your entertainment, for your enjoyment, for your, I hope it's educational, for your education. I'm going to step away from this. If you guys want to modify the list, feel free. Make your own list. Go right ahead. Drop your list in the comments. Debate it. I might even participate. I'll check the comments on this video if I really, really need to. But this has been Kevin Graham reporting for BNN.